So today is our 21st day of iftar photo talk. So someone who is new, like I know some faces are new here, but of course we met each other, but still I just want to talk about exactly what is iBrandConnect. So we started our company in 2019 October, so just before Corona. So I always call myself and my company as a Corona baby. So during Corona, we learned a lot of lesson, like how to move forward and how to do good business. So one idea or one method what we used in selling photography equipments as a like online stores are connect with customers directly. And how to connect with the customer by having a store, you need to bring customers inside. But if you and from that day onwards, like till now, we did almost around 170 physical interaction, like physical photo discussions forums like this. So of course these discussion forums, in one or other way, like we get a lot of new customers coming in, and these people, they understand exactly what iBrandConnect do, and then we sell our equipments to the customers. Now the next thing is, anywhere, like I've been into retail trade for last 22 years. um, the main some issues, like that is the big challenge for all of us. So here, this is the forum, like anyone at any point of time you can connect with us, and then we can solve your problems. Now we call us as your one-stop destination partner for content creation. So these days, content is the king. Now, what all equipments are required to create a content? We need something like a live, which we are doing right now, is a YOLO box. And then there are some wireless devices called Holy Land. And plus, there are plenty of gadgets from Leophoto, um, YC Onion lightings, microphones, and many things related to content creation. It's not just photography, videography, all put together called content creation, right? So we ourselves want to be a kind of one-stop shop for content creators. Thanks, Remy. We met one of the days in Kudra.
Yeah.
So I just noticed him, and then like we got connected on Instagram, and then we got connected, and he came to our place as well, and he himself bought a lot of stuff from me, Leo photo tripods and like gimbal kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
we become friends. And that's the same thing happened over here, like thanks to Berjuman. Now, if I am standing here, it's all because of a friend who was a customer, and then we got connected very closely, and he himself asked me, Shaji, why don't you do the iftar photo talk over here in Berjuman? So I always tell myself to others, in the personal life, create lot of friends. And when you are at tough time, like you are not always in a good time, right? So we all saw that kind of like the corona kind of things. For sure your friends are there to support you. So I always believe my customers are my friends. Okay. And I'm so happy to have my dear friend today here, is going to talk about some chasing shadows, some story,
Yeah.
like what is his passion is, like going around the world and finding the nature. And thank you very much, Remy,
Well,
for
thanks
coming
to
here.
you.
Yeah, thank you. And today's session is being sponsored by Leo Photo. That's again our own brand. I think this is the fourth session we are doing with Leo Photo. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
So,
And thanks
well,
for coming. Yeah.
thanks to everyone. Thanks to iBrandConnect for having me tonight. So, well, I hope you didn't eat too much first. If I see someone sleeping, I'm gonna check. So, yeah, the topic of today is, I would say, quite specific. So when we talk about like wildlife photography, it can be lots of things. It can be birds. It can be just being on safari. What I wanted to talk about is more about the wildlife when, let's say, it's hard to get there, hard to get the shots, and explain, let's say, what has been the challenge, how is the reward of that, and explain a bit of my experience with that. So, yeah, I mean, one of the main reasons why I like wildlife photography is that you need to be patient. You need to stay sometime for hours, not moving. And I think in nowadays world, that's not something that we do much because we are all the time on our phone. When we have nothing to do, we'll just like look at TV or something. So at least that's really a moment dedicated for waiting and hopefully get to see something. So in like the, let's say, a snow leopard expedition, that's quite far. So it took me a long time to go, and that's quite a journey. So added to that, that's even like more reward when you start to see something. So when we talk about like snow leopard, so it's but like one of the hardest to see, and there are really few locations in the world where you will be able to see them. So you can see here more or less the map, but that could be Kyrgyzstan, Mongolia, India, um, Uzbekistan. So there are a few different places, but again, that's still quite limited range, and that range, unfortunately, is shrinking. So what's the challenge that there is at the moment, let's say with snow leopard? So the first one, I would say probably the biggest, is the habitat loss. Since humans are expanding more and more, we are taking their territory, sometimes splitting some of their territory. So if a male is here, the female is there, then that means they cannot reproduce unless they cross, let's say, the human habitat. So that's one of the reasons. The other one is they live at really high altitude. So with the climate change, that's a problem. So they need to be higher and higher. And that's yeah, unfortunately, that's like one of the problems. And then the poaching, because if you are into money, then you could think, okay, I could kill a snow leopard and then sell the skin. There are some regions where it doesn't happen, but there are regions where it happens. An example that I wanted to highlight, that when I was in India, so they found like a snow leopard like this. So it died naturally, which then is fine, right? But just the process of removing that and taking it to the forest department or the specific department is really important, because someone getting to find this could sell it, and then once you sell it once, you figure out that yeah, that works pretty well, I can sell again, and then you try to kill to get more of them. So how photography would help with conservation? So the first thing is improve local economy. So in my case, for example, I was in Spiti Valley in India. It's a region that is not that rich, I would say, and a big part of the economy is related to the tourism for the photography. So that contributes to the economy, which sometimes also create a bit of conflict between villages. Like quite recently, there were two villages like a bit fighting because photographers were staying there but going into the territory of the other villages. So that can also create a bit of conflict sometimes. But overall, if it creates conflict, that's because it improves the local economy. Then locals, which maybe initially wasn't really emotionally attached to the animal, get also attached because they see people coming from all around the world to see that animal. So they start to see that there is a proper interest for everyone in the world. They also, like, one of the issue is the animal coming closer to like the sheep, the cow, and then killing those animals, and then the farmers trying to kill the animal back. But now, in most of the cases, there are like some financial compensation insurance. So if one of the animal would kill a sheep or a cow, then insurance would pay back so that the farmer wouldn't try to do something to the snow leopard. More awareness. So every time you take picture, you post it on social network, then obviously people see that, and we see pictures that are better and better, closer and closer from animals that we didn't know much about before. And this is also something that helps a lot. So as I was saying, the journey was quite long. So I started in Chandigarh, and then that takes almost like 2 days to get there. It's like 18 hours of drive, pretty much, from Chandigarh to Khyber in Spiti Valley. So that was like a long trip, but then obviously you get to see really nice sceneries. So that's the village, just to give you an idea of how does it look like. You have the village, and then it can go up to 6,300, if I'm not wrong. So the snow leopard will range here, based on the season, based on the amount of snow, and that kind of thing. So depending when you go, you might find it at lower altitude. In my case, I went in October, which is not peak season. And as I was saying, the advantage of that is I was the only one. In the whole village, I was the only person. The disadvantage is that the snow leopards were quite high. Then I had to go really high, and then I got altitude sickness. I'll show you that after. So the environment might not be for everyone. For me, it's fine, but there is no, for example, you don't have like proper toilets because there is no water in the pipe. It's frozen, so you need to go empty whatever you did. You have your shower here, which is the bucket of hot water. Again, might be fine for most of us, but for some people it's not. So it's good to highlight that. Yeah, it's different, right? The room are really nice, really cozy, but it's quite cold. So you have to put wood in the middle, and you need to most probably wake up middle of the night. It's so cold. You need to put wood. It's a bit hard at the beginning, and then other type of toilets that you can find. So that's the first thing I think is like just What was the temperature that it was during the day. It was not that bad, like because the sun was here, so it was like around 10 degrees, so it wasn't bad. But by night, like -5, -10, like between that range. So yeah, that's the first thing. It's like getting used to the environment because you will stay most probably 10 to 12 days at least if you go there. Then the weather. So weather can be based on when you go. It can be harder or not. This is like, for example, more like February, March. So most of the photographers, they would go in February, March. The reason is first you have snow. So to track it, it's easier. Just follow the footprint. The second reason is the picture would look better because you have the animal on the snow, which then you have better contrast and that gives you better picture. Downside is it's going to be quite a lot of people. So you can find like 20, 30 tripod on one specific location. And that's me after, after altitude sickness. So on day 1 and 2, everything was fine. Day 3, I started to feel the altitude. So the village is at 4,100 meters, but we had to go around 4,700, 4,800 meters to start seeing some signs of the animal, like footprint. And yeah, on day 3, like they came to my room, they're like, Remy, you want to go this morning? And you know, you went all the way, so you're like, I don't know, if they see it today and I'm in bed, I'm gonna hate myself. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. And then I had to really crawl to the mountain because I was like really, really tired. Then I was like, no, we need to go down because now it's like, it's not good. So I went down, they came with like the oxygen machine. And then the next day I went in the village, like 300 meters lower, spent one night there, and then I recovered slowly. But yeah, that's something to take into consideration. I was used to the altitude, so I was thinking I will be fine. But I think since you really stay 12 days at that altitude, then it's like, yeah. And you arrive, you're excited, you want to see something, and you push yourself a bit too much. So that was like, let's say, my learning experience. So then once you're used to, like, let's say, all this like environment, then you need to find the snow leopard. So that's really different than, that's why I'm saying wildlife can be really, like, you can be in a car and take picture. Here you kind of need to fight for it, so you need to walk quite a lot. So that's really important, and you need really to understand the animal. Like if you are maybe just in a car, you see something, you would take picture. Here you really need to track it. So that's going to be understanding behavior, understanding maybe the wind, in which direction it's going, like this kind of thing that the locals there, they know exactly how the animal will behave. It's going to be a bit challenging physically, but again, if you go February, March, you might not have to walk much. Maybe you might see it not far away from the village. At the time I went, it was like one day we did between like 15 kilometers walk. At high altitude, that's a lot. Like that's really a lot. but it's really interesting as well. It's not just about the picture, but more learning about the animal itself. So this is the kind of view that you'll get, but also this is the kind of like tracking that you will do. So you would sit here, take the binoculars, and just scan the whole mountain. So if you are not used to scanning, it's a tough job because it's so big, you don't know where to start. You scan 3 times the same place, where you have people that are used to it, and they have like really like they have a method of like scanning, like proper scanning activity. Then the terrain. So I had to wait day 6 to see something. Before I couldn't see anything. On day 6, they told me there is a snow leopard there. So I was like, okay, well, but it's really far. It's like 400 meters. I can like barely see. Like, okay, we can go, but there is a bit of like, it's not crazy, but it's not like a trail, right? So you need to do a bit of climbing. Let's say if you want to get closer to the animal. And one thing as well is most of the time you are in cliffs like this because it's like lots of valley. So you would sit on one side of the valley and then you would scan the other side. So if you have like a vertigo and this kind of thing, that might be a bit of challenge. But yeah, again, you can stay on the side, but this is the kind of terrain that you will be walking on. And the altitude, so that's on day 3.
Because we're picking up a bit of speed and we're at one of the highest points we've been all day. Remi's losing his voice, probably can't say much, but trying to, but it's getting colder and colder. This time of the day, the sun's disappeared.
So I started to lose my voice a bit on day 3.
Really quickly.
So that was just before I feel the altitude sickness, maybe. So this is the kind of thing we'll be looking for. Like you will look at urine here, like on the rocks. So you would know that something came probably in the last couple of days. Here, that was on day 2. Everyone got really excited because you could see paw print here, but not only the one from the big snow leopard, but also the cub next to it. So we knew, like they knew, that there is like a cub, like 2 cubs with the mom living in that area. So we were like, okay, we are getting closer. So this is the kind of day you get where on day 2, you know you are on the right track, but in which direction it's going after, it's a bit of a bet. So we had multiple teams, some going in this valley, some going on the other valley, and then we start to like coordinate by walkie-talkie. And as I say, like it's mainly about the people you go with if they know really well the animal and the area. So here, for example, we had like some explanation about this part here.
So, Chris, what's that on the floor that I can see?
Here we've got a prime example of the snow leopard's tracks, but with also the tail dragging along the snow. This line here is from the tail. When they're relaxed, when they walk, because it's such a heavy tail, it's almost as long as their body. They just keep it relaxed and it drags through the snow as they walk. Obviously, when they're hunting or when they're going down a cliff face or up, they use their tail for balance. So it's up in the air. So these trails are a good indication that the snow leopard has been here maybe a week or so ago, and it dragged its tail across here, and we've got the prints up here to prove it as well.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
So yeah, that's like the kind of information that's it's important to know that like the animal was here a few days ago. It was quite relaxed because we could see the tail, for example, on the floor. So that's a lot of learning as well, which is really nice. Yeah, so as I was saying, the way it works is we have a team at least of like 8 people that is spread into different valley, and we all communicate to find, to see if we see something. And one of the things that's also quite used from a, let's say, a photo point of view is the camera trapping to understand the movement of the animal, to see, for example, we knew that this female had 3 cubs, but how do we make sure they are still healthy and all of that? Because we don't get to see them every day as well. So with the camera trap, we were able to see like some video that the 3 cubs were here, and that helped to know about the health of every individual that stays in this area. Because most of the time they stay within a same territory. No, so this is set up like it stays there all the time. It's mainly their equipment, like the team that is there, and they would use that. They would get every 5 days, they would go to get the SD card, start to check what they saw in the. So once you find it, then it's about being at the right place and at the right time. So that's the time where basically you need to take the picture. But for that, there are a few things um, that I think are good to discuss. So binoculars, that's always better. Sometimes they can provide. Now you have one that I tested for the first time, which are stabilized. So when you have such a big area, if your binoculars are not stabilized, then it can be moving and you get tired quite quickly. When it gets stabilized, it's easier to just have a proper scanning. So you cannot take that much equipment because you need to walk a lot. And at this altitude, like 1 kg is quite a lot. So you need to make it light, find something that is good compromise between something that might be close because you have some fox, red fox, that kind of thing, and also the snow leopard that can be quite far. So what I used for the trip is, so I have two body just in case. I mean, you travel all the way, just if one breaks, then you would be quite sad to not have like a backup. Um, I'm using like crop sensor because of course that gives more distance. So I was thinking that should probably be better. And to be honest, even with this lens, so 500 with a crop of 1.6, I felt I was still already quite far from it. And just like a normal lens. So that's what I took. And I also took like a wide angle because every night, like if you like astrophotography, this kind of thing, the sky is completely clear and it's really great. What I wish I would have at that time would have been like an extender. I know that would decrease also the quality and the light and all of that, but if you get to see during the day, it's really bright. Like you get the sun, a bit of snow reflection, so that would be fine with an extender. If it's by 5, 6 p.m., most probably not, but at least if you see it during the day, then you could get closer. And I had the EOS R as well, just like because it's a full frame. So if I felt like the light was not great, then I could use this one instead. And tripod, to be honest, like a good tripod is really mandatory because first of all, you are always in altitude, always like kind of on a cliff. So with the wind, it's moving quite a lot. And yeah, you could see that after like with the distance plus the wind, it's quite hard. So yeah, a few advice like altitude sickness. I know like it's kind of exciting and we want to start as soon as possible, but yeah, that's really one thing I would remember. Like to take another body with you of the camera just to make sure if something happen. To keep it light. One thing to be careful as well in all cold environments, it can work in Antarctica or anywhere else, is like when you go from a really cold into a room, for example. So you have been outside for the whole day, it's cold, then you get into a room that is hot, then like it can create like condensation in the camera. So what you should do is leave it in the bag for a few hours, like maybe 2, 3 hours, until just like everything get acclimatized to the temperature of the room. Because some people had like issue like that, and then after you're a bit screwed. Yeah, I mean, to use custom setting, like just get everything ready, like maybe custom setting for daylight, custom setting for end of the day. So like if something happen, you see something, then you just have like the presets and you are quick to be ready. The season, again, like if you feel physically comfortable, then I would really advise like October, November, because you will be really by yourself. But yeah, if you prefer like the snow and also maybe to not have to walk that much, then February, March would be probably a better time. Sky is really great there. Like every day, it's complete clear sky pretty much. So yeah, like lens for that would be great. And it's just like a balance between how heavy is the equipment, how far you can go with your equipment, and how much light you can get in your equipment. This is like try to find the balance between those three, which fits the best. So this was the female with the 2 cub, but it was really far, like 400 meters, something like that. So on a, let's say on a video, that's great. I mean, if you want to look at the video, you can see them moving, yawning, and all of that. With the picture, it was a bit of a struggle. And that's the thing that's I would consider like the most challenging thing when it comes to photography in those places is the cold, because you are so cold. So I have gloves that are specific to photography where you can just remove the tip for one finger, for example. So then, you know, if you need to do something quick, because with gloves, you might not be able to manipulate as much. Distance, so yeah, we were talking about that. For example, if you go in Mongolia to see snow leopard, you might see them closer. In India, quite often, it's quite far. Some people get to see them closer, but that wasn't my case. The wind, yeah, good tripod, like tested before. I thought I had a good one, but it could have been better. So this is why I bought some new equipment after that. The lights, because again, most of the time they are more active in the morning, in the evening. So most of the sighting that we have seen was mainly towards the evening. So you lose light, and with the distance and all of that, it gets challenging. And the contrast. So that was one of them. So you can see like it was like 5:30 p.m. It was quite far. So the picture is not not that clear. I mean, it's still nice experience, but then after from picture point of view, it might not be the best. Then one of the challenge that you might find is they blend with the atmosphere, we blend with the environment. So it's here, but to make it really nice as a picture, it's hard because you cannot move, you are on a cliff. You're just, the only hope you can have is that it goes at the top of the cliff, then you can have the sky in the background or something like that, but it can be a challenging one. So weather can change like quite a lot. So that was like January, for example, and this was when I was there. So when I was there, you can see the sun is there. It's quite hot. It's nice, but you don't have the snow for the picture. And here, I'm guessing if you have to wait 3-4 hours with this weather, yeah, that might be a tough time. So having said that, there are lots of things that are nice to take picture of. Like it's not only about the snow leopard, and that's what I really like. So you can have really nice sunsets, like every night, like sunset were really incredible. You can have the blue sheep, you know, that comes in your picture. So really nice, like sunsets, pretty much every night. The landscape, so that was still when I was there. So you see very snow, but really at high altitude, like not at lower altitude. Then you get like the local celebration. So that's like one thing that happened when I was there, like people dancing and local people giving you some drinks, and you can sit with them, spend time. It was really great. Like so that was one of the little girl that was doing like the dance for the celebration. And then in terms of wildlife, so yeah, lots of yak, which which is uh, which is nice to see. I mean, if you are not used to see that, it's quite nice. Then you have also all the local animals that are there. Plus, if you are lucky, I was not, but you can see wolf. That doesn't happen often, but you can see wolf. You can see the blue sheep. You can, yeah, the fox. We saw the fox few times, but again, it goes out like quick. We saw one that was sitting for quite a long time. So those are like the type of animal you can expect. So yeah, finally, um, find the find the snow leopard. So this is like probably the closest I was able to go. So I'm sure probably Mongolia is so like probably from closer, but that was still like quite nice. Nice time, you know, with the people. Like we were like pretty much every night invited, like in local family, spending time with them, eating with them. They were showing like, you know, how they live, and most of them they are trackers for years. It's like from dad to son, and they have their own. They have like really small house, but inside their house they have the picture of the snow leopard that they have seen over the time. So that's really nice to see how attached they are to the animal. And then, yeah, finally landscape again, like it can be sunset, but you know, it's mountains, and that's like, even if you don't see maybe the animal on that day, just having this kind of moment where you are by yourself walking, it's just like great time. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's just to give you an idea of how it looked like. Again, like every experience might be different based on the time you go. It's it can be tough, but it's really rewarding at the end. And I think if you are really into wildlife photography, that's definitely something that you should try to do at least once. Thank you. No? Yeah, that's fine. I'll share the, yeah, because it's quite long, so I'll, yeah. Yep. Do you
Thank
do
you,
a closing?
Remy. Thank you,
Thank you,
Remy. Yeah.
thank you.
Any questions or anything to Remy?
Oh wait, let me hear. Oof. Yeah.
Before getting into this, the mindset, the health, the exercising, the budgets.
I would say the exercising, I mean, I keep doing like sports most of the time. I was thinking like the part I was a bit disappointed is maybe the altitude sickness, because I've done like Kilimanjaro and stuff like that, and it never happened. So I was like, I should be fine with this. But just, yeah, you know, that's when you feel you are the most confident, that at the end you should have planned a bit better. Um, yeah, I mean, it's good to plan, like especially for February March season, like to plan in advance, because it started to be popular. Lots of people are booking, so I think it's good to prepare in advance. For me, since it was October, November, I was the only one, so I think we were just happy to get someone. So I didn't book that much in advance, and yeah. I did for 4 days, and I was like, yeah. So normally Dimox, you take it 2 days before you go, and then after you keep going. But I did the mistake after 3 days to. I was like, I think I'm fine, and the guys there were like, yeah, you look fine, and and I was like, and I stopped. So yeah, that's like a bit of a mistake here, but because I know my trigger, I know it's 4,000-meter altitude, because every time it always trigger from 4,000, never before. So I was like, yeah, that feel okay after 3 days, but yeah.
What do you felt?
I was like, everything was taking like so much effort to do not much, like, and then on the last day it was like a small hill which would have taken me normally 15 minutes. It took me 1 hour and a half to get to the top. I was carrying myself with the bag and everything. I arrived at the top. I was like, okay, now I need to sit. I sit down in the rocks and I fell asleep for 1 hour and a half at the top of the mountain. And then I woke up, and the guys were like, oh no, but we have good signs. We think the snow leopard is there. I was like, oh, I want to see it, but I really don't feel great. So you know, you are in the middle, you don't know what to do. And I was like, no, like let's play it safe. And for the story, I went down. They took me to lower altitude, and on the next day, I told them like, did you see the snow leopard? Like, no. Then I go on Instagram, and I had one of the tracker that was on Instagram. I see he's posting picture of the snow leopard. I'm like, was it today? This? It's like, yeah, we didn't want to tell you, but we saw the mom and the two cubs today. I was like, oh no, the only day I was sick. So the next day I was like, I should be fine today. I was better. I went up, but didn't have the chance to. So I lost 2 days where I couldn't go. And on the second day, they saw it again. I was like, oh. And on the the fifth day, I was like, okay, today is my day. We have seen it for the past 2 days. I'm back. I feel better. Nothing. So I was like, well, you know, like sometimes, like that's the beauty of wildlife. Like you don't know if you will see something.
A lot of patience.
This is why it's good to enjoy everything around it, like the culture, the other type of animal you will see, the landscape, because maybe you won't see anything. You don't know. So yeah.
Yeah, great.
Which tripod did you finally take?
I took this one, like the camo, the big one.
You want to change that?
He gives discount just after. That's the time to talk to him.
Yeah, this is the one.
Now
Yeah.
I took this one because it's way lighter than the one that I had. That's the main reason, and also I with the gimbal head as well. So the snow leopard doesn't move that much most of the time. It doesn't. It's not like a bird, you know. It doesn't go like here and there, so you don't need to move that much. But if you want maybe like to do more like video that are clear, smooth, at some point we had blue sheep. So the snow leopard was sleeping, and the blue sheep came from the top, starting running. I was like, why are they running towards the snow leopard? Then the rocks started to fall from the blue sheep, and the snow leopard woke up. He was like, rocks. Then he went up to see what was there. And then the blue sheep realized there was a snow leopard and started to go back. So this is kind of moment where it goes a bit quick, but most of the time it's pretty slow. So the day we saw it for the first time, we stayed 8 hours at one place. It slept 2 times 3 hours, 2 times 2 hours. So you just enjoy coffee, and then you talk, and you're like, oh, he's moving. No, still not. And so it's like, yeah, for one day, it all pretty much didn't move, and it was full belly, so we knew it wouldn't attack anything. But yeah.
Great.
Yep.
And yeah, this is what we do. Like, without going there, we see a lot of places. That's what happened in iBrandConnect Iftar Photo Talks. Like we saw a kingfisher from Anup one day, and like many areas we went
Yeah.
for the last 21 days.
Yeah, I mean, in photo, like, you have so much you can.
So thank you very much, everyone for coming and joining us. And we are here until the end of Ramadan. So most probably, like, of course, we are closing by 20th of this month. So please register and join again and again. Thank you very much, Rami.
Thanks
That's
to
an
you.
amazing journey.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's take a group picture. Yeah, please come join. And whoever came on car, like, we'll give a small slip that you can activate your parking card through the security over here. So otherwise, the parking is only 2 hours. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, please come. Please join. Please, sir.
Very good.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Next to the
Yeah.
boss. Next to the boss.
No. I'm so happy that I'm enjoying this
Yeah.
every day. Is it sun? Sun anyone?
He just left.
Okay.
He said, say goodbye.
He fell asleep.
He wanted to play. So
Okay,
he went
okay.
to, because he was playing with friends.
Okay.